Hi, everyone. Are you looking to get up to speed on something interesting, maybe, without wading through tons of text?
Yeah, that's kind of the idea here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So today we're doing a deep dive into a really beautiful piece of precious metal, one that's just packed with history and meaning, the Mexican Libertad, the gold and silver bullion coin.
That's right. We've gone through, quite a bit of material detailing its history, the design, its importance, all that stuff.
And our mission today.
Well, it's to pull out the most crucial, the most intriguing bits about the Libertad. Basically give you a solid but still engaging overview.
Perfect. And for anyone new, when we say bullion, we just mean precious metals like gold or silver in a form like coins or bars, valued mostly for the metal itself.
Precisely. It's about the intrinsic value.
Okay, let's unpack this coin. Where should we start? The history seems like a good place. It comes from a mint with some serious heritage, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. We're talking about the Casa de Moneda de Mexico, the Mexican mint. And it's not just old, it's the oldest mint in the Americas, founded way, way back in 1535.
1535.
Yeah. So centuries of coin-making history behind every single Libertad.
That kind of legacy really adds something, doesn't it?
Mm.
So, okay, when did the actual Libertad coins, the gold and silver ones we know, when did they first appear?
Right. So the gold Libertad, that one kicked things off in 1981.
Okay.
And then the silver Libertad wasn't far behind. It came out in 1982.
82 for the silver.
And here's a key point, something really interesting. That silver Libertad, the one from 82, it was actually the world's first 1-ounce silver bullion coin.
The very first.
Yeah.
Before the eagle, before the maple leaf.
Exactly, before those other big names. At the time, there was this growing interest in silver as an investment people could actually hold,
Makes sense.
And Mexico, with its massive history of silver mining, was perfectly placed. So the Libertad basically launched that whole market category.
The world's first silver bullion coin. That's a huge claim to fame right there. Foundational, really.
It absolutely is. It put Mexico right at the forefront of silver bullion and kind of set the stage for everyone else who came later.
Okay, so beyond the metal and the history,
Mm.
the Libertad is known for being just,
Mm.
visually stunning. Let's talk about that design. What are we looking at?
Yeah, the design is definitely a major part of its appeal. The reverse, the back of the coin, the centerpiece is the winged victory statue, the Angel of Independence.
Ah, yes. Very famous symbol.
Hugely symbolic for Mexican independence. And then the backdrop is just as impressive. You've got the Popocatépetl and his Taquihuatl volcanoes.
Right, two volcanoes. And they're not just scenery, are they? There's a deeper story.
There absolutely is. It ties into an old Aztec legend, a really quite beautiful, tragic love story about the two figures the volcanoes are named after, Popocatépetl and his Taquihuatl. It adds this whole other layer of cultural depth, beyond just the image.
That's fascinating. Okay, that's the reverse. What about the other side, the obverse?
So the obverse has the Mexican coat of arms, the classic image, the eagle on the cactus holding the snake.
Right.
But what's really cool here is that the main coat of arms is surrounded by several historical versions of that same emblem. It's like a little visual history lesson on the coin itself.
So the whole coin is telling different parts of the story. Now, I heard the design wasn't always exactly the same. There was an update.
Yeah, that's right. In 1996, they tweaked the reverse design. The winged victory was changed to show a three-quarter profile, sort of more dynamic looking.
Okay.
And that change also had the effect of making the volcanoes in the background seem more prominent, gave them a bit more presence.
And do we know who designed the original Wing Victory image? The artist?
Yes, the original artwork that inspired it, especially from the earlier Centenario coin, is often credited to Emilio del Moral. He was a respected engraver at the mint. His skill is a big part of why that image is so enduring.
You mentioned Winged Victory, or El Angel, symbolizes freedom and victory. Any other details in how she's shown?
Definitely. She's holding two things. A laurel crown, which is a classic symbol of triumph.
Right.
And also broken chains, a very direct, powerful symbol of liberation, breaking free from, colonial rule. It's packed with meaning.
It really sounds like it.
Yeah.
Was this design inspired by anything else in particular? Did it come out of nowhere?
Good question. No, it definitely has roots. It draws heavily from an earlier, very famous Mexican coin, the gold centenario.
Ah, the Centenario.
Exactly. That was first minted back in 1921 for the 100th anniversary of Mexico's independence. And the winged victory was the star of that coin, too. So using that image again for the Libertad was smart. It connected the new bullion coin to this really beloved national symbol, gave it instant recognition and a sense of prestige.
That makes perfect sense. Leveraging that history. Okay, history, design. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty, the specs, purity.
Top notch. Both the gold and the silver Libertads are 0.999 fine.
3 nines.
Yep. 99.9% pure gold or silver. That high purity is really key for investors.
And sizes. I know they come in more than just the standard 1 ounce.
Oh, yeah, there's a whole range, which is great. It caters to different budgets and collecting goals. You can get both gold and silver in tiny 120th ounce, 110th, quarter ounce, half ounce, the full 1 ounce.
Okay, there's a standard range.
But then also larger sizes,
Yeah.
2 ounces, 5 ounces. And for the silver, they even do a massive 1 kilogram version.
A kilo. Wow. That's a serious chunk of silver.
It really is. Quite impressive to hold, I imagine.
Now, something unusual about the Libertad, no face value, right? How does that work? Is it still money?
Yeah, that's one of its quirks. Unlike, say, an American eagle or a maple leaf, there's no dollar amount stamped on it, no pesos. But crucially, it is considered legal tender in Mexico. The government recognizes it.
Okay, so it's official, but not like a coin you'd spend at the shop.
Exactly. Its value isn't fixed by a denomination. It's tied directly to its metal content, the gold or silver inside. And that value just floats with the global market prices.
Got it. Legal tender status gives it legitimacy, but the market dictates the actual worth. Makes sense. Okay, let's talk collectibility. Why are these so sought after beyond just the metal? Mintage seems important.
Definitely. A big part of the appeal is that the annual production numbers, the mintage, are often quite limited compared to some other major bullion coins.
Lower numbers mean more collector interest, potentially.
Precisely. That scarcity or potential scarcity down the line really boosts their appeal for collectors and investors who think about long-term value.
Any specific years stand out for mintage numbers, high or low?
Well, just as an example, 1992 is a huge year for the 1 ounce silver Libertad. They made almost 2.5 million of them.
That sounds like a lot.
It is, but in the grand scheme of global demand, even that number isn't enormous, especially over decades. And then conversely, you have other years where the mintage was significantly lower, making those specific dates much harder to find and more desirable for collectors.
And it's not just the standard coins people collect, right? There are special versions.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The Mexican Mint caters to the collector market with special finishes. You can find Libertads in proof finish.
Like mirror-like backgrounds.
Exactly. And reverse proof, where the design is mirrored and the background is frosted. Plus, they do antique finishes sometimes, which give the coin an aged look.
Cool.
And like we mentioned, that huge 1 kilogram silver coin, that's definitely a collector's item, often comes in, fancy packaging with a certificate.
Right, the presentation matters too.
Yeah.
I think I've also seen things like added color or special marks.
You have. They do produce collectible variants, sometimes with colorized elements on the design. Or they might add what's called a privy mark.
A privy mark.
Yeah, it's just a small extra symbol stamped onto the coin, often to mark a special occasion, an anniversary, or sometimes even the specific mint location if multiple were used, though that's less common for Libertads. And special packaging, too. All these things can make a specific coin more attractive to collectors.
So lots of angles for collectability beyond just the year and condition. Okay, let's zoom out again. Global significance, economic impact. We know it was the first silver bullion coin. What did that do for the market overall?
Being first, back in '82, that really gave the silver Libertad a unique status right from the get-go. It essentially proved the concept.
Showed other countries it could work.
Exactly. It demonstrated there was real demand for this kind of product and arguably encouraged other national mints to launch their own silver bullion programs in the following years. It was a trailblazer.
And today, how are Libertads seen internationally? By investors, collectors around the world.
They're very highly regarded. I mean, you've got the beautiful, meaningful design, the high purity, the often limited numbers. It all combines to give the Libertad a strong reputation globally.
So respected.
Very much so. It's seen as a quality coin, both aesthetically and in terms of its metal content. A solid player in the international bullion scene.
What about for people thinking about long-term investments, like, say, putting precious metals into an IRA or retirement account? Is the Libertad an option?
Yes. In some places, particularly the U.S., the silver Libertads are approved for inclusion in self-directed IRAs.
Okay.
So that makes them a viable option for people looking to diversify their retirement savings with physical silver.
Good to know. And we keep coming back to this legal tender point. Does that status, even without a face value, add anything else to its significance?
I think it does. It reinforces that it's an official product of the Mexican government. And as we said, its value comes from the metal.
Right, the market price.
But also, these coins are guaranteed by the Banco de Mexico, the central bank. That guarantee covers the authenticity and the metal content, adding, an extra layer of trust and security for buyers.
So backing from the central bank is pretty important. Ultimately, then, what drives the value you'd pay for a Libertad?
Primarily, it's the market. The day-to-day value tracks the global spot price of gold or silver. It's pretty straightforward in that sense.
Very direct link.
Yeah, which makes it appealing. People understand that connection. It's seen as a tangible, easily valued investment that moves with the broader precious metals market.
It really does seem to sit at this interesting crossroads, and it's a financial asset, clearly, but also carries so much cultural weight and history.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. It's definitely sought after by people who want that secure investment in precious metals, but who also appreciate the art, the history, the story behind the coin.
Okay, so wrapping up our deep dive today,
Hmm.
we've seen the Libertad comes from the oldest mint in the Americas.
A huge historical connection right there.
It has this incredibly rich symbolic design telling stories of Mexican independence and culture.
That winged victory, the volcanoes, the coat of arms.
Super high purity, 0.999 fine gold and silver.
Yep. Across a really wide range of sizes, too, from tiny fractions up to that kilo silver coin.
Right. And often limited mintages, which definitely fuels collector interest, alongside those special proof and other finishes.
And don't forget its pioneering status, the world's first silver bullion coin, which gives it significant international recognition.
Absolutely. It really does have that dual appeal, doesn't it? It works as a solid investment vehicle, but also as this collectible piece of history and art.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It hits both notes really well.
This has been really illuminating.
Yeah.
Thinking about everything we've discussed, the history, the artistry, the intrinsic value, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What does the enduring popularity of something like the Libertad really tell us about, well, us? About our ongoing fascination with precious metals, sure, but also with these powerful symbols of national identity that we embed in them.
That's a deep thought to end on.
Maybe it encourages us